What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another Best Damn Deck here on TCG University UniVersus podcast. My name's Tam, and what we're going to be doing is going over all the reasons that I believe that Faye is the best damn deck in the game. So, what we're going to talk about is what do they do? Why is that thing good? Interesting interactions you can have, overcoming any weaknesses that they have, and then my final thoughts on the character as a whole. So, what does Faye do? So, she's a 6-hand size with 25 life. She has Chaos, Good, and Water. Enhance. If the top card of your discard pile has no block, add it to your momentum, period. If it has a 1 or a 2 block modifier, it gets this attack gets +2 or -2 damage. If the attack has a +3 block modifier, it gets +2 or -2 speed, and if it has a +4 block modifier or higher, add 1 asset or tech attack from your discard pile to your hand. Faye Valentine does a little bit of everything. She's such an interesting character that you can build her as complex as like Goro, right? Goro's as good as the cards that you put in his deck. Faye Valentine is the exact same way, but she handles the game a little differently. It's so interesting because she has 3 totally different symbols. So you get to fill your deck with whatever cool enhance you want to do. If you want to add a bunch of momentum, play a bunch of non-blocks. If you want to give +2 or -2 damage, get a bunch of 1s and 2s. If you want to add assets and tech attacks from your discard pile to your hand, add a bunch of 4s. But there's this balancing act that happens whenever you play this type of deck, where how many non-blocks do I play? How many +4 blocks do I play? Well, the non-blocks say that I don't block. The +4 blocks say that I don't block, and the 1s and 2s, 1, 2s, and 3s, honestly, just don't give you as much value as the nons and the 4s. And so it really is this risk reward that you have. That you get to play around. She also is a 6-hand size for 25 life, which is not a lot if we're going to be honest. There's some 6-hand size characters with 30, 31 life. So that -2 is super important whenever you are trying to stretch that out. So let's just get into why all of this randomness is good. So the randomness is good because it keeps your opponent on their toes. Your opponent is constantly trying to figure out what it is that your deck's wanting to do, and you get a lot of value based on the cards that you play. Every card has a second, quote, hidden enhance on it, depending on where it is in my discard pile. And there's a lot of things that move around in the Faye deck, in any Faye deck, under these 3 symbols. So like, under Chaos, you get to play like a really momentum-heavy deck that just swamps your momentum in and then kills you with a sand grenade. Under like Water, you get to play like a Forbidden Moon set deck where you flood your momentum and then give it a powerful 5 and then dump all your momentum and maybe give it +2 speed off of Faye. Or under any of these symbols, you could play these 4 diffs and pick up a asset every turn, like a really good one. Like under Water, we can pick up Erendite Replica every single turn, and that card says Breaker 3 on it. It's pretty good. Or just pick up a handful of attacks. It's there's a lot going on, and that's the reason it's so good. Is your opponent is constantly guessing, constantly having to think about what the top card of your discard pile is, and how you get to manipulate that top card of your discard pile with things like Poker Alice and Gateway Shuffle, Gateway Fire is a different card that she has. Gateway Shuffle in order to manipulate the top card of your discard pile. Interesting interaction. So we already talked about a little bit of that with Poker Alice and Getaway Fire, but some cool stuff that we can do is we can play way more non-blocks than normal, and we actually get real value out of them. So the best non-block to play inside of Faye, on or off symboled, is Future Poolside Date that says enhance from the top of your discard pile, gain 2 vitality. So like some really cool stuff that you can do is like, here's a small loop. You ready? It's your opponent's turn. You play a discard of momentum ability like on Jurassic Jungle that seals an attack. From there, you enhance on, so they don't have an attack, that they don't have abilities on their attack anymore. From there, I use the enhance on Future Poolside Date to gain 2 vitality, which is basically the same as the -2 speed. And then I take that Future Poolside Date with using Phase Enhance and put it back in my momentum, so that when they play their next attack, I discard that same momentum and seal their attack. So I discard the momentum, add it back, discard it, add it back, discard it, add it back. And every time that I do that, I gain 2 health. And it guarantees that the non-block is on the top of my discard pile, even if I block, because of the way that that discard momentum outlet works. Other things that you can do is play things like Guilt Seeker. Guilt Seeker is a it does not have a block. It is a 4-low for 4 that says enhance. This, if your opponent does not have any assets, this attack gets +2 damage, and its multiple gets +2 damage, and it has multiple 1 on it. And so as Faye, you can play the Guilt Seeker, your top card not have momentum, you add your momentum, instantly multiple 1, and it has another ability. Guilt Seeker says that if you play the multiple ability, destroy one of your opponent's assets or foundations, Faye gets to choose. So she blows up the asset if she wants damage. She blows up any foundation that's giving her an issue if she's like having like selective destruction is so good in UniVersus / UFS, depending on when you see this video. So like there's so many cycling pieces that you get to play. Like the most recent, I went and I won a regional with Faye, which is why like this deck's so near dear to my heart. Why she's the best damn deck in the game, with playing a card called Windmill Punch from Liu Kang support that says after it has multiple 3, and so you gain your 3 momentum very quickly with Faye. After you resolve a multiple attack, discard it from the card pool. So I'd play my Windmill Punch, I'd smack him for a little bit, and add a momentum. I'd smack it with my momentum, and then it would get discarded. Well, on the second multiple, the second of the third multiples, I would add the first multiple back to my momentum, and then on the third one, I would add my second attack back to my momentum. And so I could take and use the same 3 momentum over and over and over and over again, like a machine gun. And so I'd smack you with I would turn 2 attacks into like 15 attacks, and that's just how I killed you, because you don't have 15 blocks in your hand for sure. But there's way other ways that you can play the deck, with like Guilt Seeker and Moonset and Sand Grenade and Windmill Punch. Any random good attack, good symboled, not what I mean. Any random playable advantage driven attack, you just get to play, and you can create your own interesting interactions. Always look for non-blocks under these symbols. Hell, you can look for non-blocks under other symbols, right? If there's another future poolside date type card that gets created that says from the top of your discard pile, do this thing, you can just play it and then add it into your momentum. Weaknesses that she has. She is 6 hand size, 25 health, and sometimes her luck runs out with the top of the discard pile. There's sometimes where you really need to block something, and you have got a 1 or a 2 block modifier on the top of your deck, and you give it -2 damage, and it still kills you. Or maybe sometimes you don't have a card in your hand, and you get stuck with a 3 on top, and you can't mill that card. Well, that -2 speed actually doesn't do anything because you don't have any cards. So it's you have to be able to change your luck as it is with discard momentum outlets, with changing the top card of my discard pile, with like as I said before, Pokehouse and Gateway Shuffle are super important in this deck just because of how much they change what's going on. You can also do that same thing with God of Thunder. God of Thunder is a really good way to manipulate the top card of discard pile. Destroy one of my foundations to make sure I've got -2 speed on everything. Destroy one of my foundations in order to honky tonk something back in and play it again. Or honky tonk woman, excuse me, that's the full name of the card. There's just like, sometimes there's so many interactions happening that you get killed by a very linear deck. If a deck's designed to do a singular thing, sometimes Faye can't deal with that thing with the wide net that she casts. So you need to be able to make sure that the net that you cast has a strong enough foundation, and I don't mean the proper noun card like foundation. I mean the foundation of the deck, right? The foundation of like this play style is so solid to its core that you don't get blown out by random garbage, right? You don't get blown out by some I'm gonna sling a really big attack. Well, if your Faye deck can't deal with that, then you have to switch up the mold. And that brings me to like what I think her last weakness is she's so open-ended without being so brain dead like that other best damn deck I did, Goro, where I said Girls as good as the best cards. Faye's the same way. You need to know your card pool really well and the way that the cards interact with what you do. So, like, part of the overcoming weaknesses is, honestly, just go on UFSultra.com and look through all the cards that she could possibly play. Look at all the interactions. Find that web. Find how they all link together, because there's I say this for a lot of decks. There's not 60 cards that are perfect in Faye. There are 60 cards in Faye that are perfect for you, and the best damn deck that you make Faye. And so you really have to pick and choose what's your flavor of Faye doing. Part of the reason she's so cool. It's part of the reason she's the best damn deck. So my final thoughts on the character as a whole. So Faye, Faye is one of the most intricate, interesting characters in the entire game. She has the flaws of being so complex she's impossible to play, but she also has the flaws of being so complex my opponent doesn't know how to play against her. All of her interactions are super good. She's got a really, really good enhance that accidentally could get canceled, but it's fine because we get to just play it again. And she gets to decide. She gets to dictate the flow of the match based on the cool things that she checks or how she manipulates it. She is the best damn deck in the game in the right hands. So just make sure that you practice up and make sure that you know your card knowledge and you are the right hands. Faye is the best damn deck in the game. Thank you very much for watching.